Hello everyone! I am Alice of KHR Arts and Cloud Orchid Publishing, and today we are going to talk about one of my favorite books, Son of Shadows by Juliet Marillier. So this is the sequel to Daughter of the Forest, which I talked about in one of my previous videos, and it is specifically about Sorcha's daughter, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, I'm so sorry, Liadan. I'm going to put that here for y'all. So it follows her, and she has other siblings, but the story is mainly about her, Liadan. And it is very well known at this point, Sorcha's story and how she saved her brothers from the Lady Unog and made them people again and blah, 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 and all that stuff. And Sorcha's eldest brother ends up becoming the chieftain, and things are great. And life is wonderful and blah, blah, blah. But of course, story's got a story. So Liadan is the younger sister to her older sister, Niamh. And I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, so here is her name here. I apologize if I'm pronouncing it wrong. This is just how I read it. But yeah, so the story starts to story when we learn that Niamh starts to fall in love with this one particular druid when the druids come to the compound to celebrate one of the religious events. And first of all, she is a chieftain's daughter. She is not supposed to be falling in love with a druid. But then also there's some weirdness going on where people are like, of all the druids, you especially cannot fall in love with that one, but they won't tell her why. And so when Niamh and the druids' love is discovered, everyone freaks out, and Niamh is immediately married off to the big chieftain. So at this point in time, there's like a big chieftain who's kind of in charge of all of the chieftains. And Niamh is married off to him because she is outrageously beautiful. Like, she's just so pretty. Like, everyone in the land talks about how pretty she is. So that's how she's able to be married off to this guy of very high status at like a moment's notice. And they do this because they don't want word to get out that she's been canoodling with this druid and save face and save her reputation and all that. And then we find out that the big chieftain dude is a horrible person and he is abusing Niamh, like, horrifically. And so it does not directly talk about, like, it doesn't show scenes directly of what happens to her, but it is alluded to, it is talked about what happens to her. So just as a trigger warning, this does have abuse and SA in it. And the family ends up finding out about this and they're like, no. And so the big in charge chieftain dude is, we're gonna call it dealt with. And Niamh is brought back home, but she is messed up. She is forever changed by this horrific farce of a marriage that she had to endure. And the family feels terrible about what they did. And then she finds out why she was not allowed to be with the druid guy. And I can't tell you all because that's a huge spoiler. But they tell her, they're like, this is why. We're so sorry. This is why we did this. We were doing it to protect you because we love you. We didn't know he was a horrible person. We're so sorry. And so Liadan just takes it harder than anybody else, seeing her super confident, beautiful, happy sister suddenly be this shell of a human. She makes it her mission to be like, I am going to do whatever it is that I need to do to help her. That I'm going to do whatever it is that she wants to do in life. I'm going to help her accomplish that. And basically what it turns out that Niamh wants is she doesn't care. She does not care. She wants to be with the druid guy. And Liadan's like, okay, I'm going to help you make this happen. That's what we're going to do. And so Liadan does everything that she can to help fulfill her sister's wish. And through that is where story's going to story. And so we are still in this whole background story of that the prophecy needs to be fulfilled, that this whole the seventh son of the seventh son needs to be born to take back the islands. And so there's ever more talk about, you know, this child of the prophecy that we need. And so it's kind of talked about that Liadan's brother could possibly be the one to restart this chain and fulfill the prophecy. So there's a lot of pressure on her brother, and there's all this stuff going on with her sister Niamh. And Liadan kind of gets left behind as the middle child. She's kind of ignored by everybody and left to her own devices, very much the way Sorcha was. And she follows in her mother's footsteps with becoming a healer. and this is the main part of how story's going to story, is she is escorting Niamh to somewhere, and they come across this bunch of bandits, for lack of a better word. And they capture Liadan, and they assure her, they're like, we don't want to hurt you. We don't want to take anything from you. We have heard that you are a great healer, and we have this person in our band of bandits that is severely injured, and we need you to save him. And she's like, well, I mean, you kind of kidnapped me and holding me hostage, I guess, because, I mean, she's kind of not really allowed to say no in this situation. She's like, okay. And so she ends up saving him, which, again, is not a spoiler because its story's got a story here. And she ends up saving him, and the bandits are very grateful, and they're like, okay, because you did this for us and because you're awesome. And she, you know, is an absolute true lady and treats them all like people and is very kind and learns about them, learns about their stories and how they became bandits and all that. And, you know, is just a nice person and treats them like people, and they really appreciate that because she's one of the first people that ever treated them like people, and they're like, whoa, what a novel concept. And so now she kind of has this like protection of these bandits where they're like, hey, you know, we're gonna still be doing our thing and whatever, but like if anything happens, you call us and, you know, we'll do something about it. So she has these kind of unlikely allies going on, and that's really the catalyst for what moves this story forward and also starts to move the mechanism forward again for getting closer to this prophecy being fulfilled. So I can't go any further than that because too many spoilers, but this is such a great book. Of course, I will be honest, I didn't like it as much as Daughter of the Forest, but it's kind of that idea of like, very rarely is the second story as good as the first. But for what it is, standalone, it's a very good story, and I highly recommend it. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a like, and if you're new, subscribe. All right, y'all, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.